This is Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us today for Live with Annie. As usual, we've started the stream a bit early. This helps us get everything set up and broadcasting properly to our various platforms. You can find a countdown clock on the screen showing how long it will be until we actually go live. While you wait, please connect with us and other viewers in the chat. Let us know where you are from and whether you're a new or longtime viewer. We'll see you live soon! Thanks again for joining us for Live with Annie. We are so happy to have you with us today. While you wait for the program to start, we hope you'll enjoy the content playing on screen. There's so much inspiration, so take a moment to tell us what you love in the chat. Don't forget there is a countdown clock on the screen so you know how long until we go live. It's Annie again, reminding you that we'll be going live with this week's episode shortly. There is a countdown clock on the screen showing how much time is left. You've got just enough time to grab some water or a beverage of your choice and a snack, and to connect with us in the chat. We'd love to hear what you've been working on this week. Again, it's Annie, back to remind you that we'll be starting this week's live very shortly. We've got a really fun episode planned for today, and we'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 16 of season 5 of Live with Annie. In today's episode, we are visiting with Karla Overland of Cherrywood Hand-Dyed Fabrics. We will dive into the rich story behind their stunning suede-like cottons and learn how these gorgeous fabrics are created. You will get to see a variety of projects made with Cherrywood's vibrant hand dyes, which are perfect examples of how texture and color can transform your creations. So stay tuned. It is so great to see all of you here today. We know there are lots of things you could be doing with this time, and we always appreciate it when you make the time to be with us, even if you are catching us on the replay. Please take a moment to watch us or follow us wherever you are watching. And if you know someone else who might enjoy the information that we share, we would be really grateful if you would tell them about Live with Annie. Just tag them while you're watching, as that will take them directly to the episode so they can watch it too. Also, we all love reading your comments, so be sure to interact with us throughout this presentation. We want to know what you think, and we love learning from you too. If you have any questions, just add them in the comments or chat, and we will do our best to answer them before we close. In our last episode, we introduced 3 fun new ByAnnie patterns: foldy locks, focal point, and snappy sleeves, as well as our new tool-free snaps and extra sharp awl. These are quick and easy projects that are perfect for gifts, so snap to it. If you missed that episode or want to watch it again, remember that you can find all the previous 198 episodes of Live with Annie on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or at ByAnnie.com. We've put up all the links to make them easy for you to find. So today we have got an extra colorful episode lined up because we are diving into the world of Cherrywood hand-dyed fabrics. I am thrilled to be joined by owner Karla Overland, who is the creative genius behind these stunning fabrics that quilters and makers all over the world absolutely adore. Please help me welcome Karla to Live with Annie.
Hi, everybody.
It is so great to have you here.
Thank you, Annie.
All right, so let's start at the beginning, because I think a lot of people know Cherrywood for your distinctive look, but they may not know the whole story, and I'm not sure I know the whole story. So can you share a little bit about how Cherrywood got its start, what inspired the hand dye process, and how it's evolved to where you are today?
Well, Cherrywood was started in the late 80s, early 90s. Our founder's name was Dawn Hall, and she was experimenting with dyeing gradations and different colors. And she created this gorgeous texture that has come to be known as the suede texture. So I don't know if this will show up very good on screen, but we work with solid colors, but it's not just solid. There's some tone-on-tone variation in it. So this is what she discovered decades ago. And I have been part of the business for 25 years now, and it has grown and grown. And now we are internationally known, and this is where we are today.
That's so exciting. And that suede look on the fabric really is so beautiful. It seems to me I read a story that you were doing graphic design for Dawn before you bought the company. Is that right?
Yes. So I'm got my degree in graphic design, and I was working in advertising, but I was getting burned out with advertising. I've been a quilter since I was 10 years old. And when I met Dawn Hall at the local quilt guild, that is how we were connected, because she needed some graphic design work. I needed a new job, and I actually kind of begged her for several months, like, if you ever hire someone, please, please, please hire me. And she eventually did. And I got to mentor under her for about a year before she unfortunately passed from cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And that was 20 some years ago.
Wow. And then that's when you took over the company.
Yep. And I moved it, we were working from an old house, and I moved it to a new building that is all one level. And we've been doing a lot of upgrades and making things more and more efficient every year, and expanding our lines, and just trying to keep it fresh and new.
Well, you do a fabulous job like that. And it's really inspiring to see that you've kept what she did with that suede look, but taken it above and beyond to the next level, too. Go ahead and go down, Glow. All right, so let's talk about those fabrics, because that's what Cherrywood Fabrics is all about. And what you produce isn't just pretty colors, but fabrics that have really a lot of character and depth. So what is the fabric makeup, and how does the hand dye process work, and what sets Cherrywood Fabrics apart from just regular quilting cottons?
Our base fabric is actually a very high quality muslin. So you will actually see the seeds in the fabric. It's a little bit of a looser weave than, say, a mercerized cotton. But that's part of the look and the magic that makes the incredible feel of Cherrywood. The dyeing process takes, it's about a 2-day process from the very beginning of unbleached muslin to a nice, beautiful package of fabric. We use washing machines to dye the fabric. And we are able to dye about 1,000 yards a week. So we have a very small staff. I only have 10 people working for me at the moment. And we have people that are pressing the fabric, hand cutting it, hand folding it, hand packaging it to make these gorgeous bundles that we're known for. Every step along the way is touched by human hands. And all that kind of combined together really makes Cherrywood a special product. It also has a very high thread count by the time we finish, because we have not only in the dyeing process washed it, but we've gone through 2 more cycles of washing and rinsing to get out the excess dye. So in that process, those fibers really shrink together and give you a nice tight weave, which is perfect for applique and a lot of the things that you're doing, Annie, with raw edge applique.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely attest that 100% cotton substrate and process really do make a difference. The fabric not only looks just super rich, but it has such a beautiful hand. But yet it's still easy to sew with. It almost, to me, feels like a canvas, but it's not heavy like a canvas would be. And the thing that I really noticed when I was working with it is it just doesn't ravel or fray. Like, I'm used to having to clip threads and pull threads constantly, and this just stays nice and even on those edges. It's really gorgeous, and we've used it in several of our projects, and I really love the elegant finish that I get from it. Can you talk a little bit about your colors, because your colors are just fabulous? Go ahead and go down, Glow.
We have 200 colors right now that we're dyeing. We have we're using Procyon dyes, which is a powder dye, and each one of our colors is formulated especially to usually dye in gradation. So this is an example of a gradation of color. Here's another one, a little more subtle. And I formulate the colors. I start with this color and this color, and then I ask myself, how do I get from those 2 colors in 8 different steps in gradation? So that's why we call these 8-step bundles. These come in fat quarters, half yards, and full yard bundles. But then you can also get all the colors individually. And right now we have 200. We come out with collections twice a year. That's something kind of new for us. If you've been following Cherrywood for a long time, you know that we don't, we keep those colors in our standard line for a long time, because we know that it sometimes takes a while to finish a quilt. And if you want red from 5 years ago, you want to be able to get more of that red. That being said, this is a hand-dyed process, so the dye lots will vary a little bit from lot to lot, but that's just to be expected with a lot of fabrics, but especially with hand-dyed fabrics.
Well, and I even noticed within a piece of fabric, there's a little bit of variation, which gives it that really wonderful richness and interest. It makes it so much more interesting than just a flat, solid piece of fabric. So talk a little bit about, I had asked this question earlier, is my understanding of hand dyes is they've been washed so many times along the process, I don't need to pre-wash them. But I noticed looking on your website the other day that there is a recommendation to pre-wash them. So can you talk about that? Give some specifics on how you recommend handling not only the fabric but also the finished projects that are made with the hand-dyed fabrics?
Sure. We use a product called Synthropol, which is it's a detergent that is used in the dyeing process. So after we dye the fabric, we wash twice with this soap to get out any extra dye. These colors are very deep, rich, saturated colors, and to get these dark colors, we have to use a lot of dye. So sometimes those 2 cycles of washing is not enough to get out the extra dye. So we do sell little bottles of Synthropol on our website, and this is replaces detergent. We do recommend to pre-wash at home before you start the project. If you're going to be using it for bags and small things and like wall hangings like you see behind me, don't worry about pre-washing it because you're never going to need to wash it. It's just when and if you wash any hand-dyed fabric, you really should use Synthropol. And it doesn't take very much. This bottle will last you a long time.
All right. And one other thing that you had mentioned is to not let it air dry, which was also a surprise to me. And explain why that is.
Well, we've learned over the years, if people do have an issue, oftentimes it's because, say you finish a quilt and you want to block it and you air dry it or hang it on the line, then the fibers they're drying slowly. And if you think of a paper towel that touches a wet thing, it'll slowly draw it in. That's called wicking. And that can happen with fabric. If you have especially red next to white, that white will pull anything around it into it if it dries slowly. So we do recommend, if you need to dry a quilt, put it in the dryer until it's fully dry. And the faster it dries, the less likely you'll have any wicking happening.
That was such a good tip. I would have never ever thought of that. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, next I want to talk about one of my very favorite things that Cherrywood is known for, and that's the Cherrywood Challenge. I have always enjoyed seeing the challenge entries, so we were really super thrilled to become a gold sponsor of the challenge for the past couple of years, and we even created a special cut of our Soft and Stable that's sized specifically for the Cherrywood Challenge pieces. So if you've ever entered the Cherrywood Challenge, you make a 20-inch by 20-inch quilt. So we provide a 21.5-inch square piece of Soft and Stable so that you can quilt your project and then trim it to meet the right size. Soft and Stable not only gives amazing body and stability to purses and bags, but it's really perfect for wall hangings too. And I love that it gives really great dimension to your quilting, and it's also a really strong base if you're going to do a lot of embellishment with applique, embroidery, or beads, or any of those things on it. So for anyone who hasn't heard of the Cherrywood Challenge, can you explain a little bit about what it is and how it got started?
So I came up with an idea 12 or 13 years ago that I wanted to do a challenge. And challenges are not new in the quilting world, but I knew that I had something special because of the Cherrywood fabric and the look of our fabric. And I also wanted to see all the quilts the same size. So I came up with a 20-inch square size requirement. And I wanted to limit the color palette so when you saw all these quilts together, they would be a collective, a group, cohesive, and really show off, wow, this is what you can do with just a few colors. Our first challenge was Wicked on Broadway, and I got to work with the show management of Wicked itself. And it was just amazing because they gave us permission to send, I think it was 21 quilts to hang in the lobby of the Gershwin Theater. Uh-huh. The next year was Lion King on Broadway. Because of that connection, I got into the Disney theatrical company that runs the show on Broadway. Same thing, they were just thrilled that we were doing something like this, and they also displayed some of the quilts in the theater on Broadway. We've gone through people like Van Gogh and Prince, Bob Ross from public television. We've done Princess Diana on the 25th anniversary of her death. Graffiti was an interesting one, and that was a little bit of a departure because that's when I started giving people a few more colors. Graffiti had 8 different colors that you could play with. And then monarch was, of course, the colors of a monarch butterfly. And each year, this is open to the public, and each year we get more and more entries. It gets harder and harder to jury the quilts into the exhibit. We are keeping 225 quilts that go in the exhibit and travel around the country and sometimes even the world. For instance, the Poppy Challenge, which is still traveling right now, was just accepted into Festival of Quilts in Birmingham, England next summer. So we're going to be making a trip over there to bring those quilts there and have a booth set up over there. So the main idea behind this was I want to show the world, the non-quilting world, this is what you can do with fabric. This is what people are doing that call themselves quilters. It's raised the bar. This is artwork. And also by keeping the quilts a 20-inch square, that's a smaller project, is something you can really get your, you can handle it. You can try out a lot of different techniques and all those tips and tricks and embellishments and techniques that we learn. This is a great way to test it out. And I'm giving you the colors, I'm giving you the size. All you have to do is create.
Yeah. Well, it's such an, if you have never seen the Cherrywood Challenge, make sure you look on the Cherrywood website to see where they're going to be, because it is so stunning, because they're so small like that too. They're all together, and to see the huge range of things that people come up with, they really are incredible works of art. And I found, I have not entered the challenge before, but I have made some things, and I'll show those in a little bit later. But by limiting that palette, it really forces you to become creative. And it's amazing how much texture and movement and contrast and stuff you can get even in those small pieces. I'm just have been totally blown away by what people come up with. Is that one of the challenge entries?
This is my sample, so this didn't get judged, but I just want to show you how the soft and stable, the cut that you provide is just perfect for this challenge, because everybody knows when you stitch and sew on fabric, it draws up and shrinks the fabric a little bit. So knowing that your quilt has to fit into this piece of soft and stable, and again, like you said, it holds up to all that embellishment work that you want to do, it's just been a really cool partnership.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting us be part of it. And that was another really fun thing, that as a sponsor, we got to pick a judge's choice. So I got a little sneak preview of all the quilts before they were ever done. And we all voted and then picked the one that got the most votes from us. But it was super fun to see those. So thank you so much. What a great business decision that was. And what a way to really help the whole quilting community come together and inspire others who aren't part of that. So for someone who might dream of being part of the exhibit or wanting to enter, can you tell us a little bit about what some of the recent themes have been beyond the ones you talked about? Actually, you talked quite a bit about those, but maybe tell us a little bit more about Abyss.
Yeah, Abyss is actually starting to travel. Abyss is like creatures from the deep. So we're talking squid and octopus and anglerfish and all sorts of deep sea creatures. This is the bundle that people purchased. This happens to be the half-yard bundle. So this, we gave people 6 colors, darker colors, which, by the way, is why my hair is this color. I like to match my challenges. And then just for a little accent, we put in smaller cuts of some brighter colors. And this was so people could do things with bioluminescence and all those weird creatures that have bright colors and amazing textures. This by far has been our largest challenge. People just come to our website or go to their local store. A lot of shops will carry the challenge bundles. You purchase the fabric, you make the quilts 20 inches square. using just these colors. So this is the challenge. You can't add any other colors, any other brands of fabric. We want to see what you can do with a limited palette. Then you photograph your quilt and you upload it to our website, and it's a jury process. So we go through all the entries. I have a panel of 3 jurors that read through all the artist statements, look at the technique and the workmanship and the design and just the overall impact of the quilts. And we select 225 quilts that get sent to us, and we photograph them professionally. We put the exhibit together, and then those quilts will travel for about a year, sometimes more if they're super popular. And at the end, you get your quilt back. So it's quite a process, but it's really, it has come to be an honor to get into. So this last Abyss challenge, we had almost 600 entries. Wow. So just imagine the process of trying to get it down to 225.
Yeah.
Pretty hard.
Yeah, no kidding. That would be a really hard job because that's only 1 in 3. Wow, that's a real honor to be part of that. So do you have a new challenge already set up for 2026?
We do, and that actually is going to be announced June of 2026. So we keep it top secret until then. In the meantime, the Storytime Challenge, the deadline's coming up soon. It's February 15th that these quilts are due. I'm holding the fat quarter pack of these 8 colors that I selected. And these are the only 8 colors that you can use, although we do have a side palette of some neutral colors if you choose to add to it, and we call that bundle Sketchbook. I'm a child of the 70s, so I was thinking of like the original Winnie the Pooh and Frog and Toad, and just the nostalgia and the feeling that you get when you think about story time as a kid, story time with your own children, grandkids. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific book. We want it to be an original expression of what you feel when you think of story time.
That's a super fun challenge. I can't wait to see it. I've talked to my grandsons and said, let's do something together. One of them, his favorite book is The Spooky Old Tree, the Berenstain Bears. Oh. And the other one is Frog and Toad. And so I thought, I don't know how I combine those in one. So I said, maybe we'll do 2 different quilts. So when they were here for Thanksgiving, I tried to get them to sit down and draw pictures, but they were way more interested in running outside and throwing balls and looking for rocks and stuff. So the pictures they drew for me were pretty poor. So I think either we're going to have to revisit this at some point, or I'm just going to have to come up with something on my own. But it was super fun. I think I'm going to do something totally different than that. So do you have any tips for people who are thinking about entering the challenge or just using Cherrywood in a project? A lot of people aren't used to using solids. What tips can you share?
Well, solids, if you're not used to using just solids without any printed colors, don't be afraid. It's just color. This collection of colors they're very subtle difference between them, but don't let that stop you. You can still get some value differences by layering the colors. For instance, this gold mustard color, it's a complementary to these dusty blues. So if you are putting those colors together, you're going to get higher contrast. Also, don't be afraid to use colors where they aren't expected. For instance, flesh tones. In the past, we've done, our challenges have been about people, but all they have to work with is purple. So for instance, Prince had purple skin. That's okay. We're being creative here. We're, using just what we have to create something that's unique and different. So, and also, it shows off quilting beautifully. Cherrywood, it has such a soft hand to it. So it works really well for any kind of handwork you want to do. We've been seeing a lot more hand stitching as the challenge progresses. And I think that's because people are finding that the hand of Cherrywood is very nice for any kind of hand embellishment, embroidery, or any kind of stitching.
Yeah, those are really great tips. And I really do. I'm excited about doing something with the Storytime fabric. And I think what I'm going to do is make myself a coat, one of using Alyssa's new Bella quilt coat pattern. And I'm trying to figure out maybe to do her arcs and beauties with it and do the color gradation there, but then I want to add some embroidery with it. And is it called cantha cloth, where they do the big kind of the big stitch quilting really close together in lots of colors? I thought maybe that's what I'll do in the background. So I think that's going to be my over the holidays project to work on. So hopefully I'll have something by the time that story time you said is due in February. So when will those quilts go on display?
They will debut at the H&H show, which is a wholesale show in Chicago in Rosemont. But this year they're adding a public show. It's called Fiber Festival. It's no longer named, but basically it's Fiber Festival, and it's happening in May. So the Storytime quilts will be shown there for the first time and start their year long of traveling.
Nice. That'll be so exciting. I can't wait to see them. And when you were talking about using the fabric from skin tones, I remember the year the Poppy Challenge came out, and a lot of people did Normandy, and so a lot of people had soldiers and things that they showed. And there was a lot of green skin in there, but it was perfect to go with the rest of the theme. They used the gray for the uniform, and they were absolutely mind-blowing.
They're because of the theme. There was a lot more emotion than I've seen in the past when people view the exhibit. A lot of tears, it's a very moving exhibit to see.
Yeah, for sure. So for people who may not get a chance to go see that, again, be sure to go to Cherrywood's website, because you can see all the quilts there, right, for each one?
You can't see all of them, but we do publish a book every year that has all of the traveling quilts in it. We are working on a virtual gallery for all of the Abyss quilts, so that you can see them all together in a virtual gallery if you're unable to make it to a quilt show.
Yeah, but seeing them in person is just wonderful. So I thought I would take a minute and show you some of the things that we made using the Cherrywood fabrics. And when I first got involved with it was when you came out with the Poppy Challenge. And I really loved all those gorgeous reds and greens and grays. And by the time I got the fabrics, it was too late to enter the challenge, and I'm more of a bag maker anyway. So I decided to interpret the poppy theme on a new pattern that we were introducing at that time called Two Big Totes. So this is the large tote, and then I also did a zip it up. So it was the week before the show, and I decided I needed to get this bag done. So I gave the gray fabric to my long arm quilter, and I asked her to quilt something on it that would look like poppies. And then I got on Etsy and I found an applique pattern for some simple poppy applique, because I am not an artist. And we will put the link up for the website for this. So if anybody's interested in duplicating a pattern like this, you can. And the Poppy Collection is still available, so you can buy yardage to make your quilt. But I took the poppies and I did fusible applique, raw edge applique, and put them on here, and then I just did kind of a black scribble stitch around each of the flowers to do that. On the back, I did the same thing. I did a different version of the pocket. I actually added a trolley sleeve to this, so I did the applique on that. So again, you'll need a little bit more fabric than that what came in the bundle, but like Karla said earlier, you can order yardage at the Cherrywood website for all of these. And I spent a lot of time talking about this tote when we introduced the Two Big Totes pattern. So that was our season 4, episode 41 episode. So if you want details about this, just go to that episode. The part about this bag starts at about the 40-minute mark. And I talked about how I created these two-toned handles for it, how I prepped and stitched the poppies, the leaves, and the stem, and also how I added the trolley sleeve. So check that out if you want some more information about that. And then after I got that tote bag done, I decided I was going to try a zip it up because that was so much fun. So on this one, I decided I would just embellish the front pocket. So I skipped the border that's usually here, and I took that same poppy design that I'd used on the tote bag and just enlarged it so that it would better fill the space. But I really love the dimension that Soft and Stable gave to this. You can really see how the poppies pop out and the leaves. And what was really great about it is I did a lot of close stitching on this, but nothing shrunk up, nothing got wrinkly or distorted. It was just really awesome. And because I just put it right on already quilted fabric. So if you look on the inside of this pocket, let's see if I can turn it enough so you can see it, you'll see that all my stitching is visible there, but it was on the inside and that didn't bother me at all. I wonder if you can see it on the inside of the bag at all. I don't think it's visible in there at all. But yeah, you can see I just have the lining visible on that side because the pocket covers it on this side. But those were super fun to make. And again, that episode of ByAnnie probably includes some information about this as well. The next collection we moved on to was Desert Garden. Do you want to show the colors that come in the Desert Garden range, Karla?
Yeah, I have 2 bundles here.
I've lost my earbuds completely.
For a total of 16 colors. This collection, the darker one, is called Desert Dusk. And this collection with the lighter colors is called Desert Dawn. And I just love succulents. And as you can see behind me here, this is a collection of all these succulent patterns that I've designed. Because I live in Minnesota and I can't grow succulents outside, but I can grow them inside with fabric.
Those are gorgeous. I absolutely love succulents too. I have a whole garden of succulents, and I'm lucky because where I live, I can put them outside in the summertime, but then in the wintertime, I have to bring them in. And right before Thanksgiving, I brought all my plants in, and my grandson said, "Holy moly, you've got so many plants." So I did a little contest for everybody to guess how many. I didn't say how many plants, I said how many pots, because some of the pots have 5 or 6 plants in them. And nobody guessed as many as I had. By the time I was done counting, I had 79. So trying to fit those in my living room, and I have aloes that are like, this tall now. So they actually have to live in the garage this winter. There's no room in my house for them. But
wow.
But yeah, I am a fan of succulents. So I was super excited when you came out with these succulent patterns. And I was just going to hold up a couple of these. So when you first came out with these, you had just 3 pattern sets. So, and each of them is named for a succulent. So there was Lola, there was Jelly Bean, and then one called Pork and Beans. All of these I really love. And I love that you've added even more to that. So you now have aloe, you have string of pearls, a really fun one that's called Frizzle Sizzle. Is that the real name of a plant?
It is. I have researched my succulents, and there really is a succulent called Frizzle Sizzle. And I also have Fire Stick and Flapjack, which is a larger one. Which
I love Flapjack.
You probably could grow where you live. So here's the Frizzle Sizzle. Burrow's Tail is a kind of a tendril. I also learned, this may not be a common thing, but I call it thrillers, fillers, and spillers. So things that trail down are spillers. Things that are tall and, kind of dramatic, they're the thrillers. And then the rest of them are fillers.
Yeah. Yeah, if you ever go to make one of those beautiful, pots that has all the different things, that's what you're supposed to pay attention to. So I really loved that you called it that. I thought that was perfect. When I did these bags, you had sent me the patterns, but those were designed for quilts. So I had to resize them to fit the pockets. And I'm super excited to let everybody know that you have now created a new pattern called Baby Succulents that includes the resized patterns for the Lola, Jelly Bean, and Pork and Beans, if they want to make bags like this. So we'll put the link in the description. We'll also put it on the screen for anybody who wants to get those. And those are available as a PDF. And Karla did a really great job of including color suggestions for those, raw edge applique instructions, and everything you need to make that go. So when I did these, basically I just decided what would fit on each pocket. So here's the small 2 little tote. And I did one on the front, I did a different one on the back, and then on the larger tote, I did a couple of them on the front and a larger thriller on the back. So on all of these, I just traced the design, fused it on, cut out the pieces, and then I used a piece of parchment paper or an applique sheet to position all the pieces to put them together. And then I fused them on, and when I did these, I did a blanket stitch around those. On the ones that I made with Poppy, I just did like a scribble stitch. But on these, I set my machine to a buttonhole or blanket stitch. On my Bernina, it's stitch number 1329, and then I went around every piece. I used SewFINK number 50 thread in just a green. I didn't want to try to match thread colors to the fabrics and all of those. That would have taken me a lifetime to do. So I just picked a light green, and I used that for all the applique. So I did these 2, and then you can see behind me, I also did those on the 2 big totes as well. And can you give a little bit of information about the applique that you do on those, Karla?
Yeah, I use Mistifuse, which is a very thin web of just glue. So the difference, obviously, there's no paper on this. I like it because it keeps the cherrywood really soft and supple and very easy to stitch through. After you fused it on, you can't even tell that you fused it. So in order to use this, you need to use parchment paper, freezer paper. There's also a pressing cloth that's a fiberglass cloth, so nothing sticks to it. So my patterns are actually not reversed because I can trace the designs onto a piece of freezer paper and put it on the right side of the fabric. The Mistifuse is on the back. So basically what you see is what you get once you cut out the shapes. So it's a little bit different technique, but once you get the hang of it, it's really fun.
Yeah, that's really great. On this one, so we were also releasing Leader of the Pack at the same time. So I took the fabric was left over from all of those quilts or bags and just combined it in here to make this backpack pattern. And then I customized it by putting this grouping on the front with a little circle behind it like you had in your pattern, which I thought really made that awesome. So if you want any details about the 2 little totes or Leader of the Pack, we talked about all of these in episode 8 of this season. So season 5, episode 8, when we introduced these new patterns. And the part about these models starts at about 23 minutes on that. So if anybody wants to watch that, there's a lot of good information about how I did this. All right, after we did that, then we progressed to Abyss. And again, I didn't get anything done in time to enter the challenge, but I decided I'd like to have a bag. And so I took our pattern called Side Hustle and did both the small and the large bag in that. So I want it to give the illusion of the ocean getting darker, the water getting darker as you go down. So I used just the different blue and blue-green fabrics from that. And I love these bags because they're really streamlined. You can put them on and wear them under a coat. They don't take up a lot of room, so they're really great for running around town or traveling. And you've got 2 different styles of handle. You can do either a swivel hook strap, which makes it really nice if you want to wear it crossbody or over your shoulder. And then the other style has our new metal side release buckle on it. And that's great if you want to wear it around your waist or like as a fanny pack or a waist bag. So on this one, I did just the fabrics, and I love, Jake, see if you can get up close to that to show how well that quilting shows up on the fabric. With the soft and stable in there, it just really makes that quilting stand up and show. And my long arm quilter quilted this with something that looks like Under the Ocean. It's got starfish in it and like kelp and things like that in there. And then on this one, I found a pattern online called Under the Sea by Designs by Marnie, I think is her name. We'll put the link for that up there as well. And again, I did the darker colors or made them get darker as they go. And then I just found this little FPP pattern, and I did they call it a lanternfish, I believe. I think it's an anglerfish, but I did that then to embellish that bottom pocket. It was super fun to make. I had to resize the block a little bit to get it to fit on here, but that was super fun and easy to do. So lots of fun using that line. These are my colors.
So cute. Just
say
love
that
them.
again.
So cute.
Yeah.
They're just so cute, and there is a really good example of just using solid colors that gives it a very graphic look.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's kind of like what you'd see on a poster or something. And just that little pops of color, like you said, that little bit of pink and that little bit of yellow just really makes it show up. And I was so tickled when I dumped out my button box, and I have no idea where this button came from, but that rhinestone or whatever in it was perfect for the lantern on his whatever that's called. I read all about it, and I knew what that was called at one point. It's not called a antenna. It's called something else. But anyway, that was super fun to do. So then I think by that point you had come out with this new line called Fairy Garden, and we did some snappy sleeves. So I'm going to let you tell a little bit about Fairy Garden, and then I'll talk about what we made with it.
Yeah, the new winter collection is called Fairy Garden, and it's another collection of 16 colors. We divide it into 2 8-step bundles. So this one is called Fantasy. Lots of yummy sherbety colors. And this one is called Fiddlehead. And I always try to design a couple of patterns to go with the new line. And you'll see behind me, whoops, this way. This quilt is called the Fiddlehead Trail. And it's based on a Fibonacci swirl, if you know about Fibonacci, but the swirl just needed some life to it. So I came up with this kind of story in my head of a snail and a quail and them walking along a fiddlehead trail, because I love fiddlehead ferns, and designed this quilt, which led to a children's book that I am working on to go with it as a companion. And it talks about the characters in the quilt and them going down the Fiddlehead Trail. And at the very end, they've gone through all the places that you see on the quilt. So being a graphic designer, I just love doing extra things like this. So the collections will be available in stores in February, and as well as the patterns that I've designed.
And when will the book be available?
In February as well, I believe.
Okay, awesome. I think it would be so much fun to make a quilt and then have the book to read to go along with it. That would be really awesome. And we talked yesterday that I'm going to zip it up and do some of those designs on the front of it, and then the child could put their book inside and some crayons or whatever else, toys and things to go with it, and it'd be a really great gift to make for a little child too. So that's going to be super fun. So what we did with this line is we have a new pattern that we just introduced, and I thought, well, actually we have 2 new patterns. So this one makes sleeves in 6 different sizes, 2 different styles. So we have one style that makes vertical sleeves in 3 sizes, and then we also have horizontal sleeves in 3 sizes. And just a couple weeks ago, we featured some new patterns that we collaborated with Alyssa Zaccardi of Quilting Alyssa on, and she was showing her new Bella quilt coat and the expansion packs that come with it, one of which is to do some fun designs along the sleeves. So it's called Bella Accent Sleeves, and that pattern has 10 different designs that you can do they're about this tall, most of them, strips of blocks, and then you combine them to get the length that you need for the jacket. So I thought that would be really fun to take those strips and incorporate them into these. So we did that on each one. So I'm just going to look at these individually. So I think this is the Flying Geese style 1, and I did 2 strips of it and just added fabric in between to equal the size that the pattern called for, and wrapped them around, and that gives a really fun look on this. These what's really nice about using these fabrics for FPP is because they're hand dyed, they're the same color, there's no right or wrong side, so that makes FPP super easy. So that was the small horizontal. Then on this one I did braid style 5, and it took 2 units of that to be able to wrap all the way around the body, and then I just added green strips on each size to be the size I needed. I had fun quilting on these, so on this one I quilted along each of the stripes in here, and then I continued those lines and designs out, so you can kind of see that I quilted kind of the same design out there. But this was a really good way to practice a different style of quilting that you might want to do on a bag or something. It kind of opens your eyes out to different options that are available out there. So I was thinking as I was doing this, if I ever do a jacket and need to quilt my little mini quilt, and I'm putting this on here, that would be a great way to quilt the rest of that little mini quilt for that sleeve. So that's the medium one, and then on the large one, I did the Flying Geese style 5, which combines 2 strips. So you sew this strip and then bring those together. And I really had fun doing this one more in like a monochromatic using the Fiddlehead collection. But this is a new color, right, Karla? Isn't this a new color that you've added to the line, this Spore?
Yep, I call it Spore, and then there's also a new green that I call Turf. So
was
those
that this,
are 2.
Was that this green?
Yeah, that lighter green. Yep. The darker green is called Frog.
Fog. I love that one. It's so pretty. All right, and then on the vertical ones, this one I went way out. So I did the ribbon style 4, which I made one big enough to cover the whole body. So the whole body of this is pieced. I love the way that turned out. And then I did Flying Geese style 2, just one little strip across the flap on this one, and style 3 of the Flying Geese to go all the way around this one. So this one took, I think, 2.5 of the segments, maybe even a little bit more than that. But I really love the interest that the FPP adds to these. I think these would be a perfect project for anyone who wants to learn to do FPP, because you could just make one little strip of this, and then when you're done, you've got a really simple little easy project to use it in. So I hope people will have fun giving that a try. I'm going to clean those up, and then I have one more project to show that we've made using the Cherrywood fabrics. So every year, or this year, we do a SewPINK initiative every year in February. And in 2025, we decided that we wanted to expand it to feature a different cancer each month. And then to help spread awareness, we made project using each cancer's colors in solid fabrics, and we did a whole variety of techniques. So we had 16 different manufacturers, including Cherrywood, who sent us their color cards with the actual fabric samples on them. And then we took from those and chose 3 or more fabrics, depending on what we were doing for the project each month, and put that together on a chart. So I actually have one here, so you can see we chose the different cancer, we picked colors for its awareness ribbon, and then we've got the name of the company across the top. So you can find links to this on our blog. You can go to our SewPINK page at ByAnnie.com, and it'll tell you just the colors that go together if you want to have like a light, a medium, and a dark in a variety of colors. Go ahead and go down, Glow. So thank you so much to Cherrywood for sending us. Getting all 200 colors of your fabrics and having these on hand in person was just such a delight, and I have really enjoyed being able to lay these out and plan my projects and see everything that goes together. So thank you for doing that. But I want to talk a little bit about the cancer that we're featuring this month. So December is Cancer-Related Fatigue Awareness Month. That's a mouthful. So Cancer-Related Fatigue Awareness Month. And it's a time to shine a light on one of the most common and often overlooked side effects of cancer and its treatment. So cancer-related fatigue is very different from everyday tiredness. It can really feel overwhelming and persistent even after you've gotten rest. And both patients and caregivers may experience it as the physical and emotional demands of treatment and caregiving take their toll. So for patients managing fatigue, it often starts with the basics. So things like eating nourishing meals with plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, staying hydrated, which reminds me, I could use a drink, prioritizing rest, which isn't always easy. Light exercise such as walking, stretching, or yoga can also boost your energy levels and your mood. And it's really important, especially if you're dealing with cancer, to pace yourself and listen to your body. So allow time for breaks and avoid feeling guilty about having to slow down. Caregivers, too, really need to care for themselves. So balancing your appointments and daily tasks, emotional support, all of those things can be really exhausting. So don't forget to ask for help from friends or family, join a caregiver support group, and set aside time for simple joys. Things like reading, gardening, meditation, all those things can make a big difference. I've heard from more than one person this year who is dealing with cancer, and they're sewing to give themselves that break and bring that little bit of joy into their life. The main thing is to remember you can't pour from an empty cup. So by caring for your own well-being, you will have more strength and compassion to share with your loved ones. So to really help focus on taking care of oneself through healthy eating and making time for joy, we decided to make a set of Out to Lunch 2.0 bags to help spread awareness. So the color for cancer fatigue awareness is lavender. So we used 3 of the beautiful lavender-hued cherrywood fabrics. So we picked red, violet, lavender, and prints. And we had our long armor Linda quilt just the light and the medium together. With soft and stable, and then we use those pre-quilted fabrics to make both sizes. So on the small one, we used the light side as the main, so you can see the dark side is on the lining, and then we just reversed that for the large. So this one has the dark on the outside and the lighter one for the lining. So, and then we used the darker purple as the coordinating fabric for each. So we used it for the handles and bindings to kind of make them coordinate. So we kept these bags just really plain. We didn't add any kind of embellishment at all. I really love the way the solid colors really stand out and make that quilting design show up. But if you wanted to embellish these, you certainly can. And after I got these, and actually after I got my side hustle finish, I came into the office and discovered that Renaissance Ribbons had sent us a really fun package with Tula's new floral reef ribbons in it. And I just thought it's too late for these. I may have to make another one. But look how gorgeous it would be to take some of that ribbon and just add that to the pocket on here. Do I have that upside down? No. The octopus is going just the right way, but that would go beautifully on either one of those. And then they sent us a blue version of it that again would be perfect on here, and the octopus would be so perfect to go with this. I may have to make another one of these bags just to use some of this ribbon, but the cherrywood and the Renaissance ribbons together would be fabulous. And either size of these bags would be really helpful for someone who's undergoing cancer treatment. They could carry this with them for treatment. There's a lot of room inside to carry snacks, tech gear, toiletries, any of those things. They'd also just make a great gift for someone to support the caregivers. You can carry your lunch in this, but it also makes just a really cute purse as well. So I hope you all enjoyed learning about these, and that they might inspire you to make something to spread awareness of cancer-related fatigue too. And Karla, again, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful fabrics with us. They are such a pleasure to use, and they really make our project shine.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, I want you now to tell us about the zipper pillow that you showed me yesterday, because that is super fun, and that's a new pattern you have out too, right?
Yeah, this is a decorative pillow. Not really meant to put your head on because I've used some of the zippers that you have on ByAnnie.com, and also a product called Stitch and Seam. And the Stitch and Seam creates this gorgeous texture that I wanted to look like when you unzip the zippers, it's bursting out of the pillow. So these zippers are top stitched down, and then the matching color of cherrywood has been stitched and shrunk to make a puckery kind of texture. And it's just a lot of fun. And the heads are just dangling here. So this is a collection of 7 colors and then matching zippers. And just to put around a regular pillow form. So that's available on my website, cherrywoodfabrics.com.
That is super awesome. I love that. And I was looking at that yesterday and thinking it's so perfect for this time of year, done in those fall colors. But wouldn't that be cute made in reds and greens for Christmas? Those just remind me of Christmas trees coming up.
Yeah.
And do the different zippers in there.
Great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, super fun. And for those who have never used the Boso Stitch and Steam, it comes in 1/2 yard or 1 yard packages. I believe it's 54 inches wide. So it goes a long ways. And all you do is you sew it to the fabric and then you steam it. And that shrinks, which is what produces the texture. So you can get all kinds of different types of texture by varying the stitch you use, varying how far apart you make it. You can do grids, you can do decorative stitches. When I did patterns ages ago, we did a lot of stuff with Texture Magic, which was kind of the precursor to this. And we had so much fun playing and creating all kinds of different textures. So it's super easy to do. And the nice thing is, once you've steamed it, it shrinks evenly in all directions. So you have a perfectly flat piece. So you cut it out just like it was any other part of your project. It's not like it's going to stretch and get all wonky on you. So it's really easy to use. So thank you, Karla, for sharing that with us. It's super fun. And you can find the Boso Stitch and Steam on our website in 1/2 yard or 1 yard packages. All right, before we wrap up, what's coming next for Cherrywood? Do you have any other events or bundles or colors coming out soon?
Well, we're going to continue to travel to quilt shows. So I'm headed out on the road in January to go to Road to California. We'll be at QuiltCon and Paducah and H&H. I have the Fiddlehead trail pattern coming up in the book that I talked about earlier. And we're also doing some fun things on Patreon. It's something kind of new for us, and we just got it going. Patreon is another social media platform, but the nice thing about it is if you pay a minimal monthly fee, there's no ads, there's none of that other stuff that comes along with some of the social media platforms. And it gives us a way to do some longer format videos. For instance, I'm going to do a sew along with the Fiddlehead Trail, and every week I'll do another part of. It's kind of broken up into sections, and I'll do another part, and we'll talk about color placement. There's 2 different color varieties for this. There's the Fiddlehead coloring, so it's more teals and greens. And you can do any kind of applique, but I'll talk a lot about how I use raw edge applique. And I don't do any finished stitching. And he talked about doing a buttonhole stitch. So there's different ways to finish off the edge. And so I'm looking forward to making some more longer format videos. I'm doing some teaching. So I'm going to the Estelle Center for Creative Arts, which is in La Veta, Colorado in August. And for those of you who remember, it used to be the home of Ricky Timms, and it's the same studio that he was in for many years. So I'm looking forward to teaching and doing kind of it's a technique where you can add some embellishment through inks, like hand pen work, and then we might turn it into a piece of clothing too, because Cherrywood really works nicely with clothing and jackets and vests and ponchos and kind of thing. So I'm always cooking up something new.
Boy, it sounds like it. That sounds like so much fun. So if people want to connect with you and find your schedule of where you'll be and when, what's the best way to do that? Where should they go?
Go to cherrywoodfabrics.com, and there is a tab across the top of the website called, I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's Find Us, or no, Calendar, sorry.
Calendar.
And it will show all the show dates. It will show the schedules for the challenges, because the challenges travel more than I do, and any kind of teaching dates too.
Awesome. That's great. All right, let's see if our viewers have any questions before we close here. All right, first question, where is Cherrywood located and where are the fabrics produced?
We're located in Brainerd, Minnesota. The actual is Brainerd Baxter, is kind of a twin cities, which is north of Minneapolis. So it's very cold here right now. And we produce the fabric right here on site. So we get the unbleached muslin here, and by the time we go through all the steps right here, and nobody else besides us are producing Cherrywood fabrics. I should mention that we are in stores as well. We wholesale to quilt shops and retailers, and we're getting more and more every day. So ask your local quilt shop if they would like to carry Cherrywood. Tell them they should. And we now have Cherrywood on bolt, so it fits in really nicely with quilt shops.
That's awesome. And didn't you tell me that you have plans on your website, so if a store is interested and they're going to have bolts, that they can make their own holder to put the Cherrywood fabric in?
Yes, we found some plans for a cart that fits 16 bolts perfectly, and I've done the artwork that can be ordered to put on the side of the cart. We put some wheels on it so it can kind of move around and rearrange in your shop, and I can even customize the stickers that go onto it. So that's a nice way to show just the gorgeous colors speak for themselves.
Amen. I think that is absolutely brilliant. Such a nice way to display it. So great idea. All right, next question is, how would you wash a quilt coat that has a cherrywood lining?
Cherrywood lining, okay. I would still recommend to use the Synthropol and wash it in cold, and just do 2 tablespoons of the Synthropol and wash it on a gentle cycle, because you do want to agitate it. And then check your rinse water, because sometimes you will see color in the rinse water. If you see a lot of color, wash it again before you dry it and use some more Synthropol, but then also put it in the dryer to dry.
Yeah, that was the biggest takeaway I got from your washing instructions, was to put it in the dryer right away. All right, the next question is, would Cherrywood create a color palette for you if you're working on a specific type of project? Do you do special colorations for people? I'm assuming she's meaning gathering a variety of fabrics.
Yeah, we have helped customers with that. It's just like going into a quilt shop where you might have a project in mind, and we can start with a palette. And we have about 25 of these 8-step collections already put together. So oftentimes it's so easy to, like, let's start with these 8 and then build off of that. We also have some 4 steps, so you can quickly build a palette and not sweat so hard on picking colors, because they're already picked for you.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. And that's the really nice thing, too, about you doing shows in person, is that people come in and can pick those up, and then you can help them, here's something else you could add to that, or here's what you need for a little pop in there. I love that idea. Yeah. There was a question there about yardage, and yes, it is available in yardage, not just in you said, too, the bundles come in, do they come fat quarter, half yard, 1 yard? Is that what you have?
Yes. Yep. 3 different sizes. Fat quarter. This is a half yard bundle. And then full yard bundle.
But then if people wanted 6 yards of something, they can easily order whatever length they need. They're not limited to just those bundles.
Right. Yep. Our bolts come in 8 yards, so you can get any increment up to 8 yards, minimum of a half yard cut. But do check out, we have a store locator on our website to show you all the stores that carry Cherrywood. Some carry the bolts, some carry the bundles, or both. But you may find some stores that'll cut smaller than a half yard. So check out that tab on our website.
That's a great idea. The next question is, if you don't pre-wash the fabric before making a project, will the colors bleed if the project gets wet?
So if you don't pre-wash, I'm still going to recommend the Cherrywood to when and if Cherrywood gets wet. So whether it's before you start or after it's finished. And since Synthropol is fairly economical, it's $5 for this bottle, and this bottle will last a long time. I continue to wash Cherrywood products just by adding Synthropol. I use this for store-bought clothing, any kind of quilts, anything that just has color in it. The dyes are set in Cherrywood. They're color fast. It's just the excess dye that hasn't bonded with the fibers. Again, we're using a lot of dye to get these colors nice and rich and gorgeous, but they get stuck in the fibers of the fabric. So that's what the Synthropol takes care of.
Got it. That's a great idea. I have some of that I bought ages ago because I was doing something with hand-dyed stuff. So, and you're right, it lasts a long time. So I've washed lots of quilts with it, and it's still there. And it was nice to hear you say that you use that in place of detergent. You don't need to add anything else in there. So that was good to know.
It'll suds up just like a soap. So it is a detergent.
The last question is, are Cherrywood fabrics available in Europe?
Not at the moment that I know of. Shipping has always been an issue and continues to get harder and harder. But we are traveling to the Festival of Quilts next summer, and we're hoping that, maybe we can find somebody there to carry Cherrywood or be a distributor for us. We have quite a following in Europe, actually, and in England, and sometimes friends will get together and order all together so that they only have to pay shipping once, and then it's distributed. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Well, Karla, thank you again for joining us today. I so enjoyed learning more about Cherrywood and seeing how your artistry continues to inspire makers around the world. I am really looking forward to seeing you in Chicago in May, which is going to be here before we even blink. But thank you again, and I'll look forward to seeing you then.
Awesome, Annie. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been a lot of fun.
Great. All right. Well, I hope all of you enjoyed learning more about Karla's Cherrywood fabrics and seeing the projects that we have made using their fabulous hand-dyed suede-like fabrics. So again, don't forget to visit cherrywoodfabrics.com to explore their color gradations, to see all the challenge quilts and more. Check out her patterns too. She's got some really fun patterns on there. And don't forget, as she said, Cherrywood fabrics are available to local quilt shops, so be sure to ask your local quilt shop about them if they don't already have them. And as always, ask for our patterns and supplies at your local quilt shop too. They are such an important part of our sewing and quilting communities, and it is up to all of us to keep them strong and vibrant. And remember, if they don't have these products, they can certainly get them. Fabrics from Cherrywood, ByAnnie patterns and supplies from their favorite distributor, or directly from us. We're always happy to set up a wholesale account for qualified shops, so just ask them to contact us for more information. Before we close, I want to let you know about some fun ways to connect and be inspired. So as we mentioned earlier, in episodes 13 and 14 of Season 5 of Live with Annie, we visited with Alyssa Zaccardi of Quilting Alyssa about our new collaboration on her exciting new patterns, which included the Bella Quilt Coat, the Bella Accent Sleeves Expansion Pack, the Bella Arcs and Beauties Expansion Pack, and her Backpack Straps and Pockets Expansion Packs that accompanies our pattern's leader of the pack, courtside and out and about. And we are super thrilled to announce that Alyssa has created a dedicated makers group on Facebook for all Quilting Alyssa patterns. So she created this group as a space designed to share inspiration, accomplishments, encouragement, to ask questions, and share tips as it relates to her patterns. So she's added a really awesome files section already in the community to answer frequently asked questions on a variety of topics, and it also provides helpful guidance on customizing the fit of your coat, so you won't want to miss that. Alyssa has really created lots of valuable resources to support you so that your creative experience can be positive, smooth, and enjoyable. And you can find this group on Facebook. Just search for Quilting Alyssa, ELISSA, Patterns Makers Group. And we're going to put the link in the description, on the screen, and in the comments so that you can easily find it. Remember, this is a private group, so you will need to ask to join it, but that's super easy. You just need to answer some really simple questions and submit your request. One of the questions is, are you a store? It doesn't mean you have to be a store to join. Just if you are a store, she'd like to be in contact with you. So if you're not, just say no. And it will take a little while probably for the admins to get it approved, so just be patient, but they're pretty quick on that. You are also welcome to invite your friends who would enjoy being part of this creative community. Just remind them that they will need to answer the membership questions upon joining. And she started this group, I believe, on Saturday. It's already buzzing with activity and inspiration. I think when I looked the other day, there were already 600 or 700 members. So it's growing fast, and I hope you'll consider joining it. We can't wait to see what you've created and will create in the future. And of course, speaking of groups on Facebook, don't forget about the fabulous ByAnnie Bag Makers group on Facebook. So this amazing group of over 46,000 bag makers around the world continues to share ByAnnie projects and support one another. We are really grateful to Randy Jones for starting this group and keeping it running smoothly. I always love seeing all the great ByAnnie projects that everyone shares, and it really is a joy to see how helpful everyone is when someone has questions or needs help. So Randy prefers to keep the focus on ByAnnie bags in this group, so keep posting your photos and stories there. But know that now you've got another place to go to find a dedicated group for sharing your ByAnnie Quilting Alyssa pattern makes too. And I highly recommend that you join both of these great groups. Finally, I want to remind you that we have scheduled 2 fun virtual lectures for more of the Creative Hub winners in our 2025 LQS contests. So tomorrow, which is December 4th, I will be presenting a virtual lecture for Cut Up and Sew in Palm Coast, Florida. And we're just going to do this like a Q&A. We're going to talk about ByAnnie patterns, give some insight into the company, and some inspiration for projects. So if you've got any burning questions you want to ask, here's your chance. And you can join in person or virtually. Actually, I think the in-person one is already full. They limited it because they didn't have a lot of space. But just visit the store's website for all the details. So that's just cutupandsew.com, and you'll get all the info there. Also, on Friday, December 5th, so just 2 days from now, I will be presenting a virtual lecture for Artistic Artifacts, who's in Alexandria, Virginia. And again, we're going to do it with just like a Q&A. They're going to ask questions and I'll answer them, so who knows what we'll talk about. But I'm sure we're going to share some tips and tricks for bag sewing and a lot of the stories, so it's sure to be a lot of fun. And again, just visit artisticartifacts.com for all the details, and we'll put up the links to both of them to make them easy for you to find. So I hope that you'll take advantage of these opportunities to learn, connect, and be inspired. Thank you again to everyone who joined us today. We will be back on Wednesday, January 7th at 2 p.m. Mountain Time to kick off a brand new year of Live with Annie. I'm not sure yet what we're going to be doing, but it will be our 200th episode of Live with Annie, so I think we need to celebrate. Mark your calendars now to join us on January 7th, and until then, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and happy stitching.